He also remembered several conversations he had with Cordelia, one of which he was joking about his wife's sweet tooth, and another how he'd mentioned Elizabeth had a friend in San Francisco named Mrs. Corbally, so she definitely would have known to send Elizabeth chocolates and sign a note saying Mrs. C. Detectives in Delaware were able to trace the chocolates and the box back to a candy shop in San Francisco, and when they spoke with the two women who worked there, both of them positively identified Cordelia. They said she had asked for a fancy, unmarked box and even told them not to fill it all the way because she had other items she wanted to add herself. As for the handkerchief that came in the box, Cordelia forgot to remove the store tag, and it traced right back to a shop in San Francisco where the staff positively ID'd her once again. And then there was the arsenic. A pharmacist came forward and said that Cordelia was the woman who bought 2 ounces of it, claiming she needed it to bleach a straw hat, and when he offered several safer alternatives, she insisted on needing the arsenic. By this point, Cordelia kind of caught on. She had already left San Francisco and gone to Stockton to stay with her husband, but that meant that she had fled her apartment she'd been living in, and when the staff went into the room, they found a torn piece of the decorative seal from the exact box of chocolates she had sent to Elizabeth. There was also a postal clerk who remembered Cordelia because she'd mailed a package to Mrs. John Dunning in Delaware, and the only reason it stuck with him was because the name looked a lot like his own. So as you can probably tell, things were not looking great for Cordelia. She was arrested on August 23rd in Stockton and brought back to San Francisco, where she was booked into jail. A few days after her arrest, a detective from Delaware arrived in San Francisco with the candy box, leftover chocolates, and the rest of the evidence, and Cordelia Botkin was officially charged with murder. The original plan was to extradite Cordelia to Delaware to stand trial, but her lawyer pushed back, arguing that she couldn't be extradited because she'd never even stepped foot in Delaware, because technically she wasn't a fugitive, and at the time there wasn't a clear legal process for prosecuting someone who committed a crime across state lines without ever leaving their home state. The state of California and the governor actually agreed she couldn't legally be extradited, but by this point the case had stirred up so much public outrage there was no way they could just let her walk free. So California offered to hold the trial themselves, and Delaware paid to fly in all the witnesses and ship over the evidence at a pretty hefty cost to taxpayers. At first, Cordelia thought she was probably going to get away with it. Most of the evidence was circumstantial until prosecutors brought forward the paper, string, and decorative seal from the box of chocolates, all of which had been found in her apartment at the Hotel Victoria. Even though Cordelia would continue to try to maintain her innocence, the theory was that Cordelia, jealous and furious that John had ended things, bought a half-full box of chocolates knowing Elizabeth had a sweet tooth. She then bought a handkerchief, a dose of arsenic, and quietly opened the box, made several of her own poison candies, placed them inside, sealed everything back up to make it look untouched, and mailed it to Elizabeth along with that now infamous note. That was the theory. Now, during the trial, some scandalous details came to light. It turned out John Dunning had affairs with at least 6 different women. He refused to name 3 of the women on stand, which actually got him thrown in jail for a few days until the defense finally dropped the question.